Books with surprising plot twists. I know they can be a little bit of a trend and somewhat annoying sometimes, but when it gets done right, it's really good. So, hello and welcome. I am Miss Thomas. This is Book Talks with Miss Thomas, and I upload videos every Wednesday, and my cat Truffles, she likes to upload on Sundays. So today I want to talk to you about books with surprising plot twists. And sometimes I like to save the best for last, but this time I'm going to jump right in with my number one favorite book of all time. And if you've listened to my channel at all, you probably know by now that my favorite author is Harlan Coben. But when I very first started liking Harlan Coben, it was because of this book, Fool Me Once by Harlan Coben. I had never heard of Harlan Coben when I discovered this book. I saw this book on the bestseller list and I was looking for a good book and I noticed this title and I thought, okay, sounds pretty interesting. I'll give it a try. And oh my goodness, I was hooked from beginning to end, and now Harlan Coben is my favorite author. I will also say every person that I've recommended this book to has come back and said, that was so good. Fool Me Once tells the story of Maya, who is a special ops pilot, and excuse me, and she has just returned from war. When she comes home and she's out in the park with her husband, he is murdered right in front of her. And so she's at his funeral when a friend of hers gives her a nanny cam to try and help her protect her 2-year-old daughter because, you know, now Maya's a single mom. So her friend says, well, here's a nanny cam. Maybe you should use this and keep an eye on your daughter when you can't be around. The weird thing is that Maya's husband shows up on the nanny cam, which was given to her at her husband's funeral. So she knows her husband died. He was killed right in front of her. Why would he be showing up on the nanny cam? It is a really, really good book. So I highly recommend. This is like my favorite book of all time, Fool Me Once by Harlan Coben. Another book with a surprising plot twist. I could have started off with this one because, you know, maybe it would have been clickbait or something. You know, everybody loves to talk about The Silent Patient. And I, too, really, really liked The Silent Patient. But I wanted to do it second because probably if you're an avid reader, you've seen this book, you've heard of this book, you may have even read this book. But I do think it's definitely worth mentioning. So I want to tell you a little bit about The Silent Patient. The Silent Patient is the story of Alicia, the artist, who she paints. She's a famous painter. She seems to have it all until she apparently kills her husband and ends up in like a criminal psych unit. So there's this psychological, what is he called? A psychotherapist named Theo, who is assigned to help Alicia, and he's determined to get Alicia to talk because she hasn't talked since she's killed her husband. So she does seem to talk a little bit through her paintings, and Theo gets the bright idea to let her paint a little bit. It's a very interesting book. I really highly recommend it. One thing I do need to say as a reading teacher and an English teacher, this book is a really keen example of the unreliable narrator. So if you've read it, you know exactly what I mean. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And when you read it, ask yourself, can I trust this narrator? Why or why not? Last on my list, I want to talk about, now this is definitely something with a plot twist, but it's not what you would think of when somebody says plot twist. Usually when I think of plot twist, I think of like a murder mystery or some sort of mystery. This book isn't a mystery, but it does have a really interesting plot twist, and that would be Truly Madly Guilty by Liane, I want to say Moriarty. I don't know. I love her. I've read I think I've read every book that she's written, but I still don't know how to pronounce her last name. I think it's Moriarty. But she is fantastic. I highly recommend her. Check her out. None of her books have ever disappointed me. So, Truly Madly Guilty is the story of, ordinary people living ordinary lives. There is the main character, Clementine and her husband, Sam. I wrote them down because so many names. I read so much. So Sam and Clementine seem to be this perfect couple. They've got it all. They have beautiful children. Clementine's a very successful cellist. She seems to have a great marriage. She does have this quirky friend named Erica. And Erica has these neighbors, and their names are Tiffany and Vid. And I have to tell you, I was going to do a book talk on books that made me laugh. Vid makes me laugh. I think Vid is really funny. So this book may show up again in that video. This book has a lot of everything. It's a little bit sad. It's a little bit funny. But anyway, Sam and Clementine get invited to this barbecue through Tiffany and Vid. Tiffany and Vid are Erica's neighbors. Clementine and Erica are old friends, and Erica invites Clementine and Sam to a barbecue at her neighbor's house. And they all form this friendship. It's mostly the two couples. It's mostly Sam and Clementine and a friendship with Tiffany and Vid. They're like this eccentric couple. They have this incredible yard for barbecues, and they're just wealthy and extravagant. They've got this really cool pond, water fountain thing in their yard. And so the couples get together and they have barbecues and just sort of form a friendship when something interesting happens. And I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to have any spoiler alerts, but I will tell you that if you're looking for a book that has, relationships between women, relationships between couples, parents who are just looking to go out with other couples and have a good time, when suddenly a plot twist changes everything, Truly Madly Guilty is a book that I highly recommend. So those are my 3 books. 2 of them are mysteries, 1 of them is not, but I still think that you will appreciate the plot twists in all 3.